She texted, "I only see you as a friend, but I still want you to treat me well like before." After 2 months of me caring for her, I just replied, "All right." Then I stopped giving her gifts and completely ignored her. That night, when she saw who I walked into the party with, her face instantly dropped. It started with a text. I was planning to give Serene a gift, thinking it would be a good time to tell her how I felt, but then I got the message. My phone buzzed and I saw her name. "I need to talk," she said. I thought maybe she felt the same way, but then came the rest. "I only see you as a friend, but I still want you to treat me well like before." The words stung. All the things I'd done for her, coffee runs, late-night chats, little gifts, felt pointless. I didn't react angrily. I just took a breath and typed, "All right." I stopped. No more texts, no more gifts, I just stopped trying. The real change came later. At a party, I showed up with Helen. Serene's face dropped. It was the first time I felt in control. Serene and I had been in each other's orbit for a while. We met through mutual friends, and like most things, it started casually. Small talk, the occasional coffee, an awkward flirt here and there. But over the last couple of months, something shifted. I began to care for her in a way I hadn't expected, and it didn't take long for my feelings to deepen. She was beautiful, confident, and independent. But over time I noticed little things, small cracks in her armor. She'd laugh at my jokes a little too much, send me random texts late at night just to say hi or share a silly meme, and the way she leaned in when we talked, it felt intimate. Maybe that was just how she was with everyone, but to me it felt special. I thought about her a lot, how she'd smile when talking about her day, the little things she did that made me feel like she cared. I'd bring her favorite coffee to work, check in after a rough day. If she needed a pick-me-up, I'd be there with flowers or a movie. It wasn't a big deal to me. I wanted to do it. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd notice. As time went on, things changed. Our late-night calls got shorter. The texts became less frequent. At first I thought she was just busy, but then I started hearing about her friend again. It didn't make me jealous, not at first, but I felt forgotten. She'd always been this radiant star in my life, but slowly it was like she was dimming. And I was still there, watching. One evening I decided to take a chance. I thought maybe if I just kept doing what I was doing, if I kept showing her how much I cared, she'd come around. I didn't need a grand gesture. I just needed her to see what we could be, what I was willing to offer. That night I went over to her place with a small gift, a little something she mentioned liking a few weeks ago. I figured it would remind her that I was paying attention, that I cared. But when I got there, it was different. She was busy, yes, but there was something else, distance, a coldness I hadn't felt before. She was polite, even kind, but the spark was gone. The conversation felt forced, and I couldn't ignore the feeling that there was someone else, someone who mattered more than me. The next day, everything fell apart. That message, it hit me out of nowhere. "I only see you as a friend, but I still want you to treat me well like before." It was a gut punch. All the things I'd done, the care, the late-night talks, the little gifts, suddenly felt meaningless. She had only ever seen me as a friend. I'd been playing a game I didn't even know I was losing. And when I read those words, something inside me snapped. I didn't cry, shout, or beg. I just typed, "All right." I didn't want to hold on to something that wasn't real. I stopped. No more texts, no more gifts. I erased myself from her life, little by little. At first she thought I was just upset, maybe even pouting. But then she started noticing. I didn't show up anymore, didn't reply to her messages. She tried reaching out at first, asking, "What's wrong? Why are you distant?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. It was almost as if she couldn't handle it, the quiet withdrawal. She started posting pictures with other guys, living her life without me. I realized she wasn't just moving on. She was trying to get a reaction out of me. She wanted me to feel something. But I didn't. Instead, I took the time I would have spent chasing her and spent it on myself. I worked harder, focused on my goals, found time for friends who actually valued me. And then I met someone. Her name was Helen. She was confident and independent, and she saw me for who I really was. It wasn't like Serene, there was no pretense, just honesty. And that felt different. And that's when the real shift happened. It didn't take long for Serene to notice the shift. At first, she probably thought I was sulking, maybe even just upset. But as the silence stretched on, she must have realized something had changed for good. But when I didn't answer her calls, didn't reply to her texts, didn't show up like I used to, that's when things started to change. I'd made my decision. No more chasing, no more hoping, no more pretending that I was fine being just the friend. It wasn't about playing games, it was about self-respect. The moment I stopped responding, everything changed. At first, she tried to draw me back in with simple texts. "What's going on, Danish? Why are you acting like this?" I didn't answer. She couldn't understand it. She wasn't used to not having me around, not having me at her beck and call. But when the silence stretched too long, her texts turned frantic. "We're still friends, right?" she asked one afternoon. "This is weird. Why are you shutting me out?" I could hear her desperation in the messages, but it didn't faze me. I wasn't going to go back to that place where I was the one who gave and gave, while she barely reciprocated. I was tired of being someone's emotional backup plan. As the days turned into weeks, the real game began. Serene wasn't just reaching out anymore, she was trying to make me jealous. It started with small things, casual posts with friends, going out to parties and tagging me in old photos of us, as if she could somehow remind me of the good times. I didn't flinch, I didn't feel the pull anymore. I'd made up my mind, and I was standing firm. But then it escalated. She started to flaunt new company. Guys I didn't know, guys I didn't want to know. Photos of her and her friends, posing together in places I used to take her, doing things I used to plan. It was clear what she was trying to do, make me jealous, make me feel like I was missing out, make me want to be part of her world again. Then the posts came. Not just pictures with other guys, but the tags, bestie, fun times with my favorite. She knew I was watching. I knew what she was doing. And yet, I didn't care. It wasn't about revenge or anger. It was just indifference. For the first time, I got it. She didn't want me as a friend, she wanted me as a backup. When she was bored or lonely, I was her safety net. That was when I understood. The silence, the distance wasn't about me being upset anymore. It was me finally seeing things clearly. She had taken my kindness for granted. And I realized I deserved better than that. So I didn't need to prove anything to her. She'd made her feelings clear. Now I was walking away, and that was hard for her to accept. I didn't chase her. I didn't react. I just let her feel the emptiness of my absence, the absence of someone who had once cared deeply. The more she reached out, the more I withdrew. I realized she didn't miss me. She missed the attention. And as much as she tried to bring me back into her orbit, I wasn't going to let her drag me down into that place again. So I waited. I waited for the day she'd realize I wasn't coming back, for her to see how little I cared now. For the first time in months, I was in control. A week after I'd cut ties with Serene, I was starting to enjoy the quiet. It felt like I had shed a weight I didn't even realize I was carrying. No more texts to check, no more wondering what she was doing, no more playing the friend who was always there when she needed me. It was liberating. I focused on my work, my personal goals, and more importantly, myself. But then came the party. A mutual friend of ours, Jamie, was throwing a birthday bash that I wasn't sure I wanted to attend. Honestly, I'd gotten so comfortable not seeing Serene, not dealing with her confusing energy, that the thought of stepping back into that world felt off. But Jamie insisted, and after a bit of convincing, I figured I could show up for a while, just say hello, have a drink, and leave. When I walked into the party, everything felt just a little bit different. There was a buzzing energy, the kind that happens when a crowd's just big enough to feel exciting but not overwhelming. I looked around the room, scanning for familiar faces, but then I spotted someone. Helen, the woman I'd been seeing in the last few weeks. She wasn't just a date. She was a confident, genuine woman who made me feel like I mattered, like I was more than just the guy who played the background role in someone else's drama. She was standing by the bar laughing with a friend, her eyes catching mine when I walked in. I was taken aback by how right everything felt when I saw her. A connection that didn't require me to beg or sacrifice. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just a party anymore, it was a test. a test I didn't know I'd signed up for. And the twist came when I saw her. Serene. She was standing across the room, her eyes already locked on me. But this time it wasn't the warm, flirtatious energy I used to get from her. It wasn't even that friendly tone. No, this was something else. Something cold. Something calculated. I saw the recognition in her eyes, the realization that I wasn't there with her. I wasn't waiting for her attention anymore. I wasn't the guy who'd drop everything to make sure she was okay. I wasn't hers anymore. She turned her gaze from me to Helen, and I could feel her surprise, her confusion, her anger. I wasn't the only one who noticed the shift. People around me were starting to take notice too. The conversations slowed, and some even turned their heads. I could feel the tension in the room, like everyone could feel what was about to unfold. I tried to stay calm, but deep down I knew what this was about. Serene's eyes were narrow, her jaw tight. She wasn't used to me being with someone else. And she definitely wasn't used to me being okay with it. Without thinking, I walked across the room past her. Her eyes followed me, and she barely managed to smile, though it was stiff and fake. Then I turned to Helen, slipping my hand into hers, making it clear. This was where I wanted to be, this was where I was. The words came out of Serene's mouth before I could stop them. "So you've really moved on?" I paused, my back still to her. The room went quiet, like the entire world was listening. I let the moment stretch, feeling the weight of it. Turning around, I gave her a look. Not one of anger, not one of sadness, just calm. "I'm not moving on, I've just realized I was never really yours to lose." Serene's face froze. Her lips parted, but no words came out. The shock was too much. She looked at me, then at Helen, then back at me, trying to find the words. But there were none. I didn't need to say anything else. I didn't need to explain. I just turned back to Helen, offering her a smile that felt real. I wasn't trapped in the cycle anymore. I wasn't the guy who waited around for crumbs. Serene didn't get it. She wouldn't. But it didn't matter. I wasn't here for her anymore. As I walked away, hand in hand with Helen, I could feel the weight of the room's eyes on me. But I didn't care. This was the end of the game. The end of playing her friend. I wasn't the one who had lost. The night went on, and I could feel the tension. Serene tried to act normal, but I could see the frustration under the surface. She was no longer the center of attention. She wasn't the one commanding the room, and it was slowly eating at her. The silence between us spoke volumes. As the night went on, I could tell that Serene had been trying to gather her courage. After all, she was Serene, the one everyone turned to for advice, the one who always knew how to charm a room. But now, she was nothing more than a spectator to my life, a life that didn't revolve around her. Around midnight, I saw her walking toward me, her steps hesitant. I didn't have to look twice to know what was coming. She wasn't just coming to make small talk. This was her last-ditch attempt to reel me back in. She stopped a few feet away, took a deep breath, and said, "Danish, we need to talk. Are you really done with me? With us?" I didn't answer immediately. I just looked at her. Her eyes, usually so confident, were now clouded with uncertainty, the cracks in her composure widening. "Do you really want an answer to that?" I finally asked, my voice calm, almost indifferent. Her eyes flashed with frustration, then softened. "I don't understand. We were good together. I didn't mean for things to get this way. I didn't think you'd actually just leave." The realization hit her too late. She thought she could have it both ways, keeping me around for her comfort while she explored other options. But in the end, she had nothing but regret to show for it. I smiled, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't warm, it was more of a realization. I wasn't who I used to be. You never understood, Serene. This wasn't about us, it was about me, finally realizing that I deserve more than just your leftovers. I'm not here to be someone's backup plan. Her lips parted, but she didn't argue. She just stood there, stunned. There was nothing she could say. I could see the hurt in her eyes now, and for a second I almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered how many times I had been there for her, how many times I'd put her feelings before mine, and I knew that whatever pain she was feeling right now was nothing compared to the silent suffering I had endured, waiting for her to recognize me. "I thought we were friends," she whispered, more to herself than to me. I shook my head. Friends don't do this to each other. And with that I turned and walked away from her, without a second glance, without regret. This time there was no pulling me back. I wasn't that guy anymore. As I walked back to Helen, who was waiting for me with a warm smile, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. For the first time in a long time, I knew that I had made the right choice. I wasn't just walking away from Serene, I was walking towards something better, something real. I wasn't looking back, and this time Serene knew it too.